Okay, we're live once again. This has been fun to do this for so many days straight, and it's an honor now to be able to share and answer your questions uh, with regards to stocks and crypto. So, while we're waiting for people to join us, those who will be watching in the replay, this is a live session that I started. I was doing this a couple of years back. Then at some point last year, I tapered it. No, I didn't do as much, but I promised myself as 2022 started again that I would somehow make videos again and do live streams again to be able to answer your questions. So we're doing this live in Facebook, in YouTube, and also in Twitter. I'm trying Twitter for the first time. Let's see if there will be people from Twitter who will be actually joining us as well. So we have number one, Homer Uhalda asking about ETH 2.0 impact on miners. So there will be a large impact on when Ethereum transitions from proof of work to proof of stake. So for you to be able to analyze it and to look at the entire context of this, you have to realize that number one, proof of work requires mining. It requires miners to solve um, complex equations, and then when they win, they get rewarded a block for that particular token or coin. And for Ethereum, they get ETH. However, when Ethereum transitions from proof of work to proof of stake, the consensus mechanism already is not anymore determined by people mining, and I think that will be the direction also, not just for Ethereum, but for a lot of tokens and coins that will come out on newer generations of coins, primarily because proof of work is very intensive, and there's a lot of talk about ESG. There's a lot of talk about the sustainability of all of this, uh, that crypto is doing things that are harmful for the environment, and proof of stake will address all of this. And number two, it makes it scalable. As you all know, for those who have been transacting in NFTs in the Ethereum blockchain, I'm not sure if you noticed this, that more people transacting, the more expensive the fees are, which has become a roadblock for some to actually start or go into that particular blockchain. And that's why Avalanche, Solana, the Binance Smart Chain, and other crypto projects slash blockchains have been doing very, very well. So I think those are one of the biggest things to consider, and how it impacts miners, because when it transitions to proof of stake, there will be no mining, because the validation of the system already, or the rewards, will be based on how much stake you have for that particular blockchain. You have Team Griengo, hello to you. Um, Cyril De Berado, hello sir. When is the best time to take positions for long-term investing? It doesn't change, no, and this is something that you can somehow superimpose for your investing in the stock market. This is something also that you can also use for the cryptocurrency market. You always do it in a way that you invest based on your conviction. You always do it in a way that you invest based on the amount of understanding that you have for a particular token or project. Of course, when you enter the stock market, there's valuations involved, there's timelines involved, and you could also use trends also as part of your analysis. But uh, what I normally do is I have a checklist for certain parameters that I like for a certain asset, regardless if it's a token or if it's an NFT or if it's a particular stock. And I have rules that I look at, and if those conditions are satisfied, then I start positioning in them. Then I start investing into them, because that's what matters to me. And my suggestion is, you have to create your rules. Like for example, in the stock market, uh, you should, for example, you're looking at fundamental analysis, you could create your own checklist for fundamentals, meaning, okay, I'm buying this company, but its ROE should not go lower than this. I'm buying this company, but its earnings per share should be growing by this percentage on a yearly basis. I'm buying this company because the dividend yield that I'm getting for this particular company won't go lower than this. Or you could also put that I'm buying this company because while I'm looking at all of the fundamental parameters, it's currently above the 200-day moving average. So it's not it's more about what are the rules that you would set when you start investing. It's more about what are the conditions that you are putting, not just for buying, but also for selling. But not just that, not just for buying, not just for selling, but in my opinion, the biggest part and the most important thing in all of this is in between holding. That you don't sell prematurely, that you don't sell if you don't need to sell. You don't need to sell anymore. You When there's no sell signal, your rules to hold should be intact. That if you don't need to transact, then you don't have to actually do anything as well. And that's one thing that's so important also when you are investing. uh, the rules to stay put when you don't actually need to transact. And I think the problem for a lot of people who are investing is that when they when they invest, it's mainly triggered also by number one, emotions. And that's how the market has been over a long period of time, that you have a set of people that when everything is exciting, they start to ape in. When everything is sad, also when everything's scary, people don't invest. And it will always be a tug of war between greed and fear. It will always be a tug of war between um, when everything is exciting and good but expensive, do you come in at that time? Or when everything is scary but relatively cheaper, do you come in at that time as well? And I've been saying this all the time now in the videos that I have created. You have to understand this, that even if you look at Bitcoin, there must be a reason why people bought it at 65,000, 66,000, 67,000. That there that probably they saw something in the technology, they saw something as a store of value. And if they're looking at it from that perspective, looking at where Bitcoin is now, 42,000, 43,000, and I've been saying this all the time, the technology of Bitcoin from 65, 66, 67, 68, 69,000 to where it is today, it hasn't changed. The technology didn't change. And if you don't have your rules set, if it's not something that's defined, it's easy to get swayed. It's easy to get scared. It's easy to get pulled one way or another to a different direction uh, when volatility happens. So my answer to that is the best time to take positions for the long term is when your rules for buying have been fulfilled based on the rationale or the checklist that you create. And for all of us, since we're all different types of people, we have different capital, risk tolerances, timeline, we have different positions, the number of tokens or coins or stocks that we actually want to buy, and the way we're diversified. It's not a one size fit all strategy. It's okay for all of us to have different styles and techniques in all of this. So there, Jameson Rivera, hello to you. Wow, we have a 17-year-old investor right here. It's nice. No, it's nice to see people who are relatively younger to be part of this. It's just an honor. I started investing. For those who don't know me, I started investing in my early 20s, and if I knew it when I was a teenager, I would have started earlier. And um, I just salute the younger generation that started to invest as well. Um, Manok asking about the Pi network. Unfortunately, I don't have any exposure into this. I'm not using it, so I don't have a strong opinion on what it actually is. And if you notice it, that has been also my style coming into the crypto market. There was a point that I realized that there's so much tokens, there's so much coins, even in the NFT. Just the NFT marketplace right now, it's so crazy because of the number of coins that are out there that that I don't you don't really get to study all of them. You don't really have the chance to know all of them as well. And that's why you have to be narrow so that you can go deep into a project to build conviction. Unfortunately for Pi Network, I'm not too familiar with it. I've heard it, some friends have it, but I have no strong opinion about it because I'm not really into it. I hope I helped answer the question. Edwin, hello to you. Um uh for Binance NFT, you have to apply. It's not like OpenSea or other platforms where uh, anyone can upload. It's kind of filtered because for Binance, it's a centralized platform. So the differences between some platforms, decentralized and centralized, for decentralized, as long as you have a wallet, you can connect it to that platform and upload and mint and create something on your own. Unlike some centralized exchanges or NFT marketplaces, they somehow filter it out. So for Binance, they had a select number of people. Initially, it was 100 of us in the entire planet. We There were four Filipinos that were part of the list. Me, Luis Benaventura, Autotelic, and also I forgot her name, but she was the first one who produced an NFT that was highly connected to music and songs. And then I think they started to scale that over the past few months. Right after that, VL from Ireland, hello to you. Mark Dixon, hello to you. Nestor Utanes, hello. Z, good evening. Isaiah Jack, good evening, sir. Can you do a step-by-step tutorial on how to invest and buy NFT? Um, we have some videos. It's so you're watching in YouTube. Please just go to the playlist portion of the channel, Marvin Germo, and then we have around 38 videos already on NFTs, and we have some basic videos there, depositing to a wallet, withdrawing, and then how you can actually buy as well. So we have that in the playlist for NFTs, so you can just check it there. Um, ICP, I have not. So I see it in the list in Coin Market Cap, but I it's not part of my current watch list. It's not something that I actively track and monitor. So there. Um, Malehana Loterte, hello to you. Good evening. You have Nestor Otanes. How about Gala and Dogecoin? So I think no for those who are tracking Dogecoin, the biggest storyline over the past few days is its integration with Tesla, that Tesla is allowing would allow or is allowing payments for Doge uh, for purchase of for transactions in Tesla. So I know there's a lot of development happening in Tesla at some point last year when they formed a group that will somehow handle the development of it. But up until now, it's still a medium of exchange, and the value of anything that's a medium of exchange will be, in my opinion, dictated by how much is it used, how often is it used, and that's what would determine its value. So I think if if this would be something that's relevant, it has to come to a point that it's not just Tesla accepting it, but you would see it. So a couple of months back, Mark Cuban accepted payments via Doge for Mavericks. I think items and tickets and other sales items for the Dallas Mavericks. But other than that, and then you have Tesla, then you have other small shops, also other small businesses, or but it hasn't really reached a point yet that it has started to scale. So uh, I think no, what will give it merit further above and beyond just price action is you would see more and more people accepting it. I think that's one of the things that people should watch out for. Should it should it gain more prominence, and unless they build something off of it that would allow Doge to have other use cases. I don't know if you know this, but um, Doge is, by the way, riding the mining of Litecoin. So that's why at some point, even when there wasn't a lot of traction for Doge a couple of years back, there was still validation on the Dogecoin network, primarily because it was being co-mined with Litecoin. But whatever price movement you saw over the past few days, it's pretty much connected to Dogecoin and Tesla. For Gala, I just discussed that also yesterday, and we have tons of videos on that. But I think with a lot of the games that are out there, it's one of the more developed ones already. It also has a really good team, and and their ecosystem. You're not just buying one game. There's a ton of games inside Gala that, based on their experience and the people behind it, also that they had a lot of traditional game experience even prior to blockchain gaming. So, anyways, Ruiz Agnazata. Good evening, Sir Marvin. How does the supply and demand translates in prices that we see? How is it measured and it manifests in prices of exchanges. So I want to submit this also to all of you know that uh, per exchange there's a set of tokens and coins that's there, and they have an order book. So essentially, you have people, and you can check that now. Whatever brokerage you are actually using, you can just log in and check it. If you don't have a brokerage yet, for those who are in YouTube, you can check it out in the description. We have some options on what crypto exchanges you can actually use. But for those who already have crypto exchanges, there's one side that's your bid, and then there's another side that's your ask, and it's the same for the forex market. It's the same for the stock market, and that's why when you are into cryptocurrencies, and especially for those who have the same background as me, know that we started mainly in the stock market first. The adjustment, looking at prices, it's not as hard for us because the order book system, supply and demand, bid and ask system, it's something that's normal, and it's something that's part of forex and stock trading and investing. So basically, you have a bid, and then you have an ask. Those that want to sell, they would post the prices and the tokens and the quantity that they want, and in the same way, those that also want to buy, they would post what price they want to buy it and how many. Then it gets logged. It gets logged there. So if there are people who want to actually sell their tokens or their coins on a very very fast manner, the easiest way for them to do it is to sell it to someone who is to sell it to someone who's willing to buy it. And in economics, we've been taught that buyers always want to buy low, sellers always want to sell high. But in this case, you have sellers who are willing to sell, who just want to get out, meaning they would somehow forfeit the right to sell at a much higher price as long as they get to liquidate and sell it today. And by doing so, they would get the next possible price that they could get it. The problem there is this: what if a ton of sellers want to sell, say, a million tokens? That actually means that if they want to get out, in the order book system, all of the buys would have need to be fulfilled until that 1 million tokens gets closed. And if there's not, if for example at $10 there's not a million tokens there, it will keep going down 9.9, 9.8, 9.7, 9.6, 9.5, up until you get to fulfill uh the entire allocation that needs to be bought and sold. So there, that's how it basically works. But it's no different from what we have in economics, that it's purely supply and demand. Ray Joseph, hello to you. Um, Rashid Paporo, is Metaverse Santa Mana good for long-term investing? Again, um, the person who can answer that will be you. It will depend on how much conviction you have for it. But uh, if you've been watching the videos that I've been creating, or even some of the posts or some of the dialogues that I've been part of, I'm a big fan of the metaverse. I'm a big fan of um how this will unfold over the next few years. That the announcement of Mark Zuckerberg for Facebook, for Meta, over the past few months, somehow no allowed it to be talked about more. But if you notice it, the Centraland and Sandbox, the development for these platforms were already continuous. They've been going on way before the announcement of Mark Zuckerberg. So my suggestion is this: as you start to study it, and if it checks all the boxes for you, then go for it. Don't buy anything because I discuss it here and I say it's good for long-term investing. The question that you need to ask yourself is this something that is good for you? Now, that being said, allow me to give you, or somehow no give you some parameters on what you could look at. if you want to invest into something for the long term. Of course, look at the team, look at the founders, look at how credible they are, look at who's developing it, look at the ton of the partnerships that they have, the companies that are there, the brands that are there, the who are the investors also. The larger the investors, the more prolific the investors, the more due diligence is actually done for a certain project, the more the bigger the investment that's in there, it goes through a more stringent process, and it somehow protects investors from being rugged. And that's why, if you notice it, also projects that have that 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 are considered drug pools, majority of them don't have any institutional investors. There's not any large crypto VC backing it up. There's no audits there. There's not a ton of brand partnerships. And one of the things that's interesting for me, and the way I would also look at it, is you look at it based on the level of talent that's entering a particular sphere, meaning um, how many programmers, designers, graphic artists are coming into their ecosystem. Because if they build something that's truly amazing, truly engaging, and truly interesting, that would allow also more users to actually come in. So the user experience is just a byproduct of users coming in. Users coming in is just a byproduct of how the ecosystem is actually built. So look at all those conditions from whatever metaverse project that you actually want to enter into or you want to study. If those boxes are checked, then go for it. If you notice it, that's why this channel is relatively boring, because whatever we talk about here requires hard work. Whatever we talk about here requires you to research on your own. Whatever we talk about here requires you to spend the time to learn more about it so you get better. And that's how you become a better investor. You become a better investor by taking the time to research, taking the time to know more about it. And I'll say this, the best time to actually do it is on a weekend. It's on a Saturday. It's on your free time when you don't have a lot of things to do. What you do on your free time will determine where you will be in the next 10 years. And if you really, really, really believe that you want to be serious about investing, use this time to learn. Use this time to build that acumen, build that conviction. Use this time that's what's interesting about that, because when you start to learn and you start to build and you start to get better, the crowd, the noise won't even matter anymore. What other people would say, oh, don't get into that. Those are just JPEGs. I can just right click that. It doesn't have any value at all. It's just right clickable. But when you start to do your own due diligence, that hey, NFTs are tokens, and the JPEG is just where the token is pointing to, that NFTs is actually when you get an NFT, it gives you a right of ownership for a particular token that's connected to either uh, a PDF file, a JPEG file, a song, a video clip, or so much more. But that that kind of learning, conviction, it does it takes time for you to be able to learn that day. And even for me, I know I've said this in a lot of videos, and I know I want to go through a lot of other questions, but I want to say this. I first heard of Bitcoin 2013, but it took me 5 years to actually start, and I'm okay with that. And looking at it from hindsight, I wish I started earlier. I wish that when I heard about it 2013, 2014, I wish I would have started at that time. But you're okay. You do it at your own pace. You do it at what works for you. And for some that are watching this, if it doesn't appeal to you, it's okay. And I've been saying this even in the stock market for a very, very long time. If the stock market doesn't work for you, there are other vehicles and other assets out there. It's not a one size fits all strategy. And even for people who are in the crypto space, if you study the crypto market and then you see that I don't think Bitcoin is for me, because Bitcoin It's just a store of value. It doesn't, you can't build smart contracts off of it. You can't put dApps on top of it. Its utility isn't as much as compared to Solana, Avalanche, Ethereum, etc. Then you don't have to go into it. You only go to what you understand the most. And that's what I want you to get from this channel. And that's what I want to impart to all of you, that take the time to build, take the time to learn, take the time to get better. You have Fatima Kana, hello to you. Erwin from Saudi Arabia, hello. You have Joshua Lukot asking, can you state some ways to still gain kahit na mababa ang crypto and stocks? So you could actually stake, meaning when you stake, you could earn passive rewards from just actually hodling it. Or there are mechanisms, or there are platforms where you could lend your tokens, like Aave, that when you lend it, you get to earn off of the interest that you actually lend your token from. Or you could also be a liquidity provider, meaning as a liquidity provider, when people swap tokens in decentralized platforms, there are fees attached to it, and as there are fees attached to it, you also get a share of that transaction. So there's a lot of ways on how you could actually there a lot of ways and ideas on how you could still get something moving even when the market in general is not doing as well. But if you're just a person who's a capital appreciation type of person, what's interesting is when the market is low, that allows you to position while it's cheaper, while a lot of people are not so bullish, while it hasn't broken out of the 200-day moving average yet, while technical indicators are not pointing into a reversal yet, that gives you a framework that, okay, uh, I get to position now, so that when sentiment gets better, I was able to buy it at a relatively low price. But then again, there's so many iterations, even for the stock market. That's why I love REITs, because REITs give you the ability to earn dividends. That's why I'm very very sensitive looking at stocks with high dividend yields, because I like to buy stocks with high dividend yields, because while I'm waiting, I get rewarded. And similar to, for those who are watching this who are exposed to Philippine markets, Globe Telecom was a very, very interesting stock in terms of giving out dividends. However, 2021, it wasn't just about dividends. The stock price moved from somewhere around 1,800, 1,900 to as high as 3,300, 3,400, 3,500. That, should sentiment turn into a more bullish stance, that's extra. So, my answer to that is there's a lot. It just depends on what do you understand the most. And as what I always say, the ROI of any investment is in whose hand is it on. Um, Juan Marcos, I mentioned that, I talked about that also earlier. Uh huh. Reasons why the market is still sideways. So please do remember this. It's not wrong for the market to be sideways. It's part of how markets work. Please do remember that. We have to remember that markets do not move in our timeline. It doesn't mean that if we don't if it doesn't go up based on how we want it to go up, that it's wrong. It doesn't work like that. And sideways markets allow other people who came in early to take profits without the market dropping. And sideways markets also allow the ones that want to enter without a lot of volatility. So consolidations are part of it. It's part of any trading and investing cycle. Guys, just a heads up, this account is not me. Anytime you see something like this, please always remember that this is a scam account. I will never ask you to send Bitcoin everywhere to any account. I'm not a genie that will give you um, I'm not a genie that will give you Bitcoin just because you send it to a particular address. So just a reminder to everyone: every time you see something like that, it's a scam account. One way ways for you to validate if it's me or not, just click the account. In Facebook, I have over 310,000 followers. In YouTube, I have over 295,000 subscribers. In Twitter, I have, konti lang sa Twitter, I have, I think 29,000. So, for those in YouTube and Facebook watching this, uh, follow me on Twitter. Just kidding. But if you get value from what I'm doing, appreciate it if you could follow me in Twitter as well. All right. So there. What else? Crypto trends. I This is a good question. I answered this in some of my videos, but I love the NFT narrative. I love the metaverse and gaming narrative, and I like L1 blockchain. So I don't know if that will be the prevailing trend for 2022, but those are the things that I'm watching. L1 blockchains, uh, metaverse slash gaming, and NFTs. So, as you all know, NFTs are highly connected also to metaverse and gaming. So, it could either be your positioning to the game, or the NFT itself, or the token. But those are the ones that I'm spending a lot of time on, especially right now. No, to answer the question that was also sent earlier, that what do you do when the market is sideways or it's bearish or it's not going so well? That's why it's nice to be diversified. Eh. While the entire crypto market is not really in general as bullish as where it was as compared to the first half of 2021, the NFT market is doing well. Eh. We've seen a lot of these NFT projects hit all-time highs, and this is while Ethereum is lower and cheaper. So I'm a big fan of diversification, not diversification just for the sake of, oh, diversify just because we need to diversify, but diversify because it's a good plan. It's a good way to distribute what you actually have. So there, guys, we are at the 32-minute mark already, and as what I've been always doing, I'm limiting my lives to just 30 minutes so I preserve my voice so that I can do more also, and it's something that's still fun and exciting for me on a regular basis. So for those that I missed some of the answering your questions, let's do some more next week. If you want more videos, check out my YouTube, my Facebook. If you're not yet on my Twitter and you are watching this from YouTube and Facebook, and you want to see snippets of what I normally post, I post more actually in Twitter than in YouTube and in Facebook. So appreciate it if you can follow me there as well. So I guess that's it for now. For those in YouTube, check out my books. Check out our pre-recorded technical analysis Zoom course, and everything else in between. All of the details about me are in the YouTube description below. So I guess that's it for now. I'm wishing you a happy weekend, and I really do hope that as we start the year, don't just make resolutions, make goals that are quantifiable, goals that you can check every time, and goals that uh, when it's August or July or June, and we're so far from the freshness of the start of the year, uh, that you push through with your goals, that you follow through with your goals, that you work with it. Because, in my opinion, and this is not just for investing, but this is for business, and this is also for life. um, Passion is important, but consistency, discipline, the willpower to do it when it's not fun anymore, I think that's more important. Eh. I think that's highly important. So that's it for now, guys. I have to play StarCraft in the next 10 minutes, so I have to set up my laptop also. So for those who don't know, there's only one game that I play, and it's StarCraft. If you're playing StarCraft 2, let me know. Add me Battle.net. My name's Mr. Satoshi in Battle.net, but I'm gonna play with some friends. So I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, and God bless you all.